Welcome to BNEWS Weekly. I'm Phil Gallagher along with BNEWS producer Sydney Bowles, BNEWS reporters Tad Stefanak and Robert Paris, Anthony Matos with sports, Gretchen Carey with community calendar, and Peter Brown with the weather. Thank you for joining us. Candidates for Burlington's upcoming local election have until today, actually Friday, to turn in their papers, meaning in a matter of days we will have the final information on who will be appearing on our ballots. We are likely to have contested races for Select Board, School Committee, and most town meeting precincts, as well as a race that hasn't been contested in 7 years, the role of town moderator, where Adam Sinesi has filed to run against incumbent Bill Byer. BCAT will have more for you as the elections shape up, including debates, candidate questionnaires, and more, so stay tuned here, on social media, and in your email boxes. Speaking of elections, voters in the state primary and presidential elections this fall may find themselves with an entire second ballot to contend with. Burlington is aiming to hold a debt exclusion vote to pay for one or two of its upcoming capital budget projects later this year. The town is likely to seek a debt exclusion vote to fund our portion of the Fox Hill School building project, which is also partially funded by the Mass School Building Authority. It may also seek a debt exclusion for the PlayStation rebuild, though that's not yet certain. Burlington voters have never signed off on a debt exclusion vote, but they're fairly common in other towns. If voters say yes, the debt exclusion would allow the town to raise residents' tax bills beyond the typical limit of 2.5% per year in order to fund a specific project. Town Clerk Amy Warfield says there are some practical considerations when it comes to holding a debt exclusion vote. Here she is.
Because of the Mass School Building Authority, it has to be a separate ballot. So we would have to run for either of these elections a dual election, which means 2 sets of check-in tables, and we can use one tabulation machine to tabulate all the votes, but it's basically a 2-step process. So we need, it's like running 2 elections at once. We need double the workers, that type of stuff.
The projects will also require approval prior to the vote from town meeting. Since 1985, Burlington has been leasing the former Meadowbrook Elementary School to private Christian school called Mount Hope. But with their lease expiring in 7 years, Mount Hope's pastor, Rick Picariello, is approaching the town of Burlington to see if they intend to extend the lease. According to Town Administrator Sagarino, the school is doing well and wants to stay in Burlington, but is also growing and may want more space. And since Burlington is short on municipal space, Sagarino said there might be a conversation worth having about other ways to use the former Meadowbrook School. The conversations are preliminary. No decisions need to be made anytime soon. But Select Board Chair Mike Runyon said he values Mount Hope as neighbors and hopes they stick around.
Yeah, I mean, they've been great neighbors. I don't know what our need is going to be in 7 years, so I really don't have an opinion on that. I'd like to see them remain part of Burlington. If they could stay where they are, great, but I think, well, kind of premature for me to even speculate whether or not we need that space yet. I think we need to do further research on there, but they've been great neighbors. I think it would be a shame to lose them, and I would, think long and hard about what what our needs are going to be.
With the new Fox Hill School likely to be coming online in the coming years, school administrators are beginning to think about redistricting, hoping to make the process easy, gradual, and transparent. The MSBA anticipates the new Fox Hill will be smaller, which means some students may need to be districted out while the district retains equity across all schools. In order to make the process the best it can be, the district is considering hiring a redistricting consultant. No decisions have yet been made. In another news of possible changes still to come, the school district is considering a social media policy to streamline communication with students and parents. The district recently began using Parent Square, which automatically translate all content into different languages for families that don't speak English. It also has protections for student data, unlike social media. The district hopes to encourage the transition of communications from social media to the centralized app. If adopted by the school committee, the policy would still need the agreement of the teachers union. School committee and administration officials are meeting with the union leadership to come to an agreement on the language. One member of Burlington's town meeting has an idea to streamline the group's works. The legislative body is made up of 126 members with 18 members in each of 7 precincts. Myrna Saltman is a town meeting member and is also on the Rules Committee and the Capital Budget Committee, and she has an idea. Precinct captains. She's shopping the idea to her committees to drum up support. Here's what she had to say.
We should know each other as a unit, as the 18 members. Not that we would have to agree on an issue, but anyone that has an article for the warrant could perhaps come before us if it pertains to the area that we cover. It would also allow us to know our other town meeting members. I truly cannot say that I know the other 17 members of my precinct, too.
You can hear the full interview on BNEWS Weekly podcast, The Burlington Brief. The town of Burlington has an affordable housing opportunity for those looking to own their own home. 119 South Bedford Street is a 3-bedroom, 1-bath, single-family home and is being offered by lottery to individuals and families below a certain income threshold. Details in the application are available online. Visit burlington.org and search for the administration /select board and then for affordable housing. The artists, state representatives are some of our closest connections to state government, and Burlington's Rep. Ken Gordon takes that responsibility seriously. BNews producer Sydney Bowles visited Representative Gordon at a monthly office hour at True North Coffee.
Once a month, State Representative Ken Gordon claims a table at True North, stacks it with free coffee, and invites his constituents to share what's on their minds.
Everybody comes in good faith. You know, everybody comes with a legitimate question, a legitimate concern that they've been thinking about or that's been affecting their life. And I'm really glad that people feel they have a place to go with these concerns or these questions.
Gordon says the office hours go back to his first days on the job in 2013.
When I started this in this role, I wanted to be available to answer people's questions. I didn't want them to have to try to find me. I wanted them to know I was around. I'm here every month. If you have an issue, you can come see me. If it's something that is more complicated than we can handle, we can make an appointment. We can do it, privately, some other way.
The office hours are usually the second Saturday of the month, but you can keep up with the details on his website, repkengordon.org.
I think the value is not only for the people who come here and talk about the issues that they've been thinking about, but it's also for the people who just know I'm here, but have no reason that they want to come here. But I think that people know that, if they needed me, that there's a time they could come and not look for me. And I'll keep doing it. I've been doing it every month for going on 12 years. I'll continue to do it as long as I serve as state representative representing Burlington.
From True North Coffee, I'm Sydney Bowles.
Before snow tires in all-wheel drive vehicles, people relied on the sleigh to get around and transport goods while snow was on the ground. The Burlington Historical Commission is still in possession of a sleigh thought to be owned and used for business by the McIntyre family, who owned what is now the Grandview Farm back in the 1800s. Let's look.
So it's the turn of the last century, and we just had a heavy snowstorm. DPW comes out, they go to the barn, then they hook up the horses to a roller. It's a 5-foot diameter by 10-foot long cylinder, horse-driven, and they drove along the roads in Burlington to compress the snow because they couldn't use carriages anymore. What they used instead were a sleigh. And this is the original SUV. If you own an SUV today, your DNA is from this sleigh. This was a practical tool as opposed to a weekend family outing. this was used every day by local farmers. So this piece is called the dash, and it prevented all of the snow and the mud and every debris that was kicked up by bobtail as the sleigh was being driven. This is the dashboard. The dashboard back then, there were no electricity, no radio, no temperature gauges, no oil pressure gauges, no speedometer, odometer, nothing. Floorboards, still called floorboards today. The upholstery is interesting because it was a family workhorse vehicle and not something fancy. The upholstery is not buttoned or anything detail work, none of that. The front seat was adjustable. It could be moved forward for when family members were riding in the sleigh, and it can move more backwards during the week when the farmer was delivering goods. So after a Sunday go-to meeting or visits to the family and it was time to come home, the sleigh was brought into the barn and the back seat was removed. So now with the back seat removed, this is a pickup truck, SUV without the back seat in it. The tailgate drops down and the farmer can load up for his deliveries, which in this case was probably milk, because this sleigh for many years was located only a football field away from the McIntyre farm. So we believe that this sleigh was owned and used by the McIntyre family, both as a family vehicle and as a delivery van.
Looks like they had to make a lot of trips with this compartment that size. The artists at Burlington High School are part of an annual exhibition of high school art. Tad Stefanek has this story.
The artwork of Burlington High School artists is on exhibit in the gallery of the Lexington Arts and Crafts Society.
We're a community art center going back to 1935. A bunch of people got together in the middle of the Great Depression, and we still try to carry that forward, that sense of community. We have 3 parallel programs. We have an education program. We have maker spaces so that you can pay to have access to studios. There's 5 equipped studios here. And our 3rd program is the gallery program, the exhibition program. We've been doing both a regional high school show and giving away scholarships to graduating high school seniors going all the way back before 1960. It's always a wonderful experience for us, and for the instructors it's great. We all look forward to it every year.
We always select the best work from mostly juniors and seniors. There are certain students who I think are more going in that direction when they get out of school, so we look at them more closely than some other folks. But it's all about quality and about a range of different styles, and try to show a diverse range of things that are being done in the school.
It's great that the students get to see each other's work from other area high schools and to see their work hung in a professional setting.
This one is the prints of the sort of solar system that they all come from. He's under a lot of stress all the time. These 3 are also high rulers of their individual planets.
It's open to everybody. You can be a member, but you don't have to be a member. You can just pay to come use the studios, and it's really a lovely community, supportive community of makers, of arts and crafts people. So please, come join us.
From the Lexington Arts and Crafts Society, I'm BNEWS reporter Tad Stefanek.
The Burlington Fire Department has received a $14,000 grant to cover safety equipment. The funds are from the Mass Department of Fire Services Firefighter Safety Equipment Grant Program. Eligible items like hoses and nozzles, turnout gear, protective equipment, gear washers, hazardous gas meters, and more. Burlington plans to spend its funding on firefighter turnout gear. Fire Chief Andrew Connerty said, and I quote, "It gets very expensive to outfit new firefighters and also to replace old, worn, non-compliant turnout gear that our firefighters currently have. We've been fortunate to be awarded this grant over the last few years and have used those past grants awards to purchase turnout gear and thermal imaging cameras," end quote. Older Burlington may remember back in the day when a grand old house on a quiet Burlington street was a summer camp with a pool that drew national attention. It's Burlington Retro remixed. Let's take a look.
We're standing on a little-known dead end called Teresa Ave, and we are standing in front of a little-known mansion called, in history books, the Frothingham Mansion. And it's named that way because way back in the mid-1800s, a pastor named Nathaniel Frothingham, the pastor of the First Church of Boston, built this home out here in Burlington in the middle of, at the time, nowhere, because he happened to know the Sewall family, which is a very prominent family in the early days of Burlington. And over the course of the years, it has a lot of interesting chapters in this house. In around 1950, became a day camp owned by a gentleman who grew up in Adams, Massachusetts, and moved to Belmont and became the athletic director and coach in Belmont. Came here and set up a day camp. Wouldn't it be nice to have a member of the Ruprecht family here to talk about Spruce Hill Day Camp from a first-person point of view?
The camp consisted of a lot of children coming from the city. We had counselors there. Some of the counselors in the later years were my high school teachers. So there was many activities always going on. Archery, riflery, crafts, swimming, of course.
There was a gigantic pool over there, which at the time was a rarity in Burlington. In fact, it was featured in Popular Science magazine. That's how rare it was.
This is unusual, but my dad passed away, and the day of his funeral, we took a drive up around the house, and they had cut down those 3 big, beautiful spruce trees on the day of his funeral, which was kind of ironic and kind of sad. But the memories, the pictures, I hold dear in my heart.
Once it was no longer the Spruce Hill Day Camp, it became the Cambridge YWCA, and many people out there of a certain age will recall learning how to swim in the big pool that was over there behind this house.
The Burlington Country Club did rent the pool for a while they were building their own pool, and a lot of the folks remember that era, but my time was the trees, the paths through the woods, the climbing the big spruce trees.
So it's good to know the town's past, because then you become more attached to your town, and you maybe feel like you've got more roots in this town and are less likely to uproot and leave the town, because you kind of feel a bit of a kinship to the town, because you know the history of the town a little bit. So it's good to see things from that new perspective. It gives things a little bit more depth. Even if the things are long gone, or in this case substantially changed, it's still good to drive by and say, oh, this used to be this, and that street name is called this because of this, and in this case, Frothingham Road is right across the street. Well, now you know why.
Now let's take a look at high school sports from the past week. Anthony Matos has the latest.
Hey everyone, I'm Anthony Matos. This weekly sports report. We have an all-time leading scorer for boys varsity basketball, Cedric Rodriguez. For more, we go to BNEWS sports reporter Robert Paris.
Senior Cedric Rodriguez is doing it all this season, from scoring his 1,000th career point earlier in January to now becoming the all-time leading scorer for boys varsity basketball. He was able to accomplish this with ease in the victory against Wilmington.
I was approaching the record before the game started, so I was just trying to play my regular game. I wasn't really focused on or trying to force anything, trying to get it, but I hit it in the third quarter, and it was a blessing just seeing all the hard work pay off, and high-fived out my teammates, gave my parents a hug, and it was just a special moment.
Head coach Phil Connors is impressed with the work ethic Cedric has been putting in this year, and it's happening at a fast pace.
The way he got to 1,000 was in seconds, and again, he's at 35-point game, 38-point games. He doesn't honestly shoot enough, in my opinion. He could be even more aggressive, but he's getting his teammates involved, which is making us a better team too.
The record was held for 10 years by 2014 graduate Shane Farley, who had 1,249 points.
Yeah, I always seen it when I was walking by in the trophy case. I was like, one day I want to beat that, and it feels good to actually have that to my own now, to be the all-time leading scorer.
His ability to get better every year and add something. When he first came in here, he could not shoot the ball. He was a talented kid, but he wasn't a shooter. Minimal ball handling ability. The next year as a sophomore, he came back as one of the best shooters in the league. Then last year, he added more individual game where he could break down and score. And then this year, he's added a post game where he can score at all three levels. It's just he adds something every year. His work ethic is relentless, and he's going to keep getting better as he goes on to college.
Congratulations, Cedric. We hope you hold the record for years to come. From the Vanilla Gymnasium at BHS, I'm Robert Paris for BNEWS Sports.
The boys are now 11-6 after wins over Wilmington 59-52 and 53-40 at Westford Academy. The girls are 2-15 after a 47-39 loss to Wilmington on the 9th. Both teams will be in Stoneham on the 15th. Updates next week. Freshman Shea Woodbury came in 21st place out of 24 in his 100-yard backstroke with a time of 1:09.92 at the North Sectionals meet at WPI this past weekend. Shea Woodbury will be competing in the state tournament on the weekend of February 16th. Girls varsity gymnastics had their first loss of the season to Reading in a 138.2 to 138.8 game on February 8th in their regular season finale. Burlington hosted the Middlesex League Freedom Championship meet where they finished second place overall with a time with 140.25 points. Senior Ava Shank Davis came in first place for her team in the all-around with a score of 37.6. The boys track team also competed in the MSTCA qualifier meet on February 10th at the Reggie Lewis Center. Freshman Cheyenne Sheehan had a personal best in the long jump with a 19.5, which qualified him for the states and freshman nationals. For the rest of the results from the weekend, go to the following website. The MIAA D3 Track and Field Championship will be on February 17th at the Reggie Lewis Center. The Red Hot girls ice hockey team are 14-1-2 after two shutout wins over Belmont 2-0 and Melrose 6-0. Burlington will be at the Boston Sports Institute to face Wellesley on February 17th. Boys ice hockey had a 3-0 shutout over Stoneham on the 3rd. They had on their third tie of the season against Watertown in the 7th 2-2. Boys hockey is now 8-7-3 after a 1-0 loss to Melrose on the 10th. Burlington will compete with Wakefield on the 15th with updates next week. Red Devil Wrestling athletes competed at the D2 North Sectionals on February 10th down at the Vanilla Gymnasium. Junior Tyler Vadney placed second for his performance in the heavyweight division. Senior Ian Larson got 3 pins in the 165 pounds match, earning him 4th place. Larson, Vadney, and freshman J.C. Carroll will all represent Burlington in the D2 state tournament this coming weekend at Algonquin High School. Best of luck, everyone. For more Red Devil action, go to bcattv.org/sports and check out our Twitter page at BNews Sports. That's all for now. I'm Anthony Matos. Back to you guys in the studio.
And now let's turn to Peter Brown with the weather, and stay tuned for your community calendar with Gretchen Carey.
Well, hello everyone, this is Peter Brown with a look at your weather for the next 7 days. Here we are heading in towards the end of February. You know, it's hard to believe that we are actually only a couple of weeks away from the start of meteorological spring, which begins on March 1st. Starting our period on Friday, we're seeing temperatures below average, only in the mid-30s. As we get towards the end of the period and towards next Thursday in the middle of February vacation week, we should be seeing temperatures at this time of the year in the low 40s, and it's going to be kind of messy as we get towards the end of next week. Going to be kind of some rain, light snow, and chilly weather out there. Looking at a temperature map, they're expecting us to have average to below average temperatures. That's pretty much what I'm seeing as well for the next 7 to 10 days. Actually, it looks like almost right through the end of the month, we're not going to have any warmth making it here into the Burlington area. And looking at our precipitation chances, it looks like they're expecting us to have average precipitation. That's what I'm seeing as well. There are some signals that getting in towards next week after February vacation week, we may see more of an active pattern coming. Doesn't look like anything big though, so any of those of you out there who love those big snowstorms, looks like we're not going to be seeing any of those, just some nuisance stuff, very similar to like what we saw just a couple of days ago here in the Burlington area. Might bring us a couple of inches out there. We'll have to keep an eye on that. That's not assured. We know what happened with the last storm. So many of our local weather forecasters were calling for heavy snow, and we ended up with almost nothing in the Burlington area. So we'll have to see if that happens once again. Now, as we get in towards the second half of the weekend, getting to Sunday, going to be chilly out there. Going to be sunny, though, as you start out our February vacation week. Temperatures, again, pretty chilly out there. Nothing too crazy for February, but again, in the low to mid-30s. And then as we get towards the end of the weekend, towards next Thursday, it looks like we're going to see a messy mix of some light rain and snow moving in, followed by probably a changeover to rain as we get in towards next Friday. And temperatures, again, staying below average in the mid-30s. So everyone, get out there, enjoy the weather, and have a great week.
Hi, I'm Amy Poehler, and you're watching BCAT. Go Red Devils!
Hey everyone, I'm Gretchen Carey, and this is your Community Calendar. On February 20th from 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m., the Made in Burlington store will be having an event called Cookie Art with Kira. Pre-registration is required. For more information and to register, go to the following website. On February 22nd from 6:30 to 7 p.m., the Burlington Public Library will be having a reptile show for children in kindergarten through 5th grade. Pre-registration is required. To register, go to the library website. From February 23rd through March 9th, the Burlington Players will be having performances called AAPI Voices, the Dragonfly Plays. For more information, go to burlingtonplayers.com. For more community calendar events, go to bcattv.org, burlingtonpubliclibrary.org, and burlingtonrecreation.org. I'm Gretchen Carey, and that was your Community Calendar.
As we do every week, we're coming to a close with a photo sent in by a member of the community. This one comes from Burlington Fire Local 2313, who got a chance to practice their ice rescue techniques during a cold period. Thank you so much for that photo. If you have an image you'd like to share with the community, email it to us at bcat@bcattv.org with the subject line Photo of the Week. That's our program for this week. Thank you for being with us. I have one final note for the show. This past week marked the 11th anniversary of the passing of Roger Nordblum, and I'd like to remember in a small way his contributions to Burlington. Roger was a third-generation leader of the Nordblum Company, where he was president for 25 years. He was an outstanding leader in the Boston real estate industry and pioneered the development of commercial and office park properties in the 1950s through the 70s and later. He developed millions of square feet of commercial buildings in Greater Boston and in Burlington. Roger was an iconic figure in Burlington. Some of us old-timers know Nordblum Company has been at or near the top 3 taxpayers in town for nearly 60 years. If you got educated in Burlington, Roger Nordblum paid a good part of that bill. On that note, I'm Phil Gallagher, and this is BNews. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week.